Doing? My name is Aqib, and I'll be doing world's worst cyber attacks. Yeah, it sounds pretty boring. I'll try to keep it entertaining as possible. Luckily, half of you guys are IT majors in here, so you guys could be interested in some of the things I'll talk about. All right. So what are cyber attacks? Anything by a hacker to try to damage or destroy your computers or your network. There's a couple I listed: identity theft, fraud, extortion. If you guys know what Trojans are, they're like, you think they'll do this, but they'll do something else. It's like when the Greeks gifted a Trojan horse to the Trojans, they thought, oh, this is a gift, but inside there were men, and they attacked, I don't know what it's called, Trojan, I guess? Troy, thank you. And that's how a Trojan works. A virus only self-replicates on one computer. It cannot jump from a computer to a computer. Only worms can, but that's through the network. Stolen hardware such as laptops or mobile devices, it really depends on what you're going to use it for. That's why it's considered a cyber attack. A DDoS attack, denial of service. Let's say you're trying to access a web page and you can't because either attackers are flooding the network with traffic or they're blocking something off in the servers. Phishing. Phishing is sending you a fraudulent email saying that we're from this company and they'll give you an offer that's too good to be true, and they'll try to get your personal information, your credit card information, steal all your money. 10 most countries that commit the most cyber attacks. China is always going to be number one. I don't know why. Either they're really gifted or they have no lives. USA is number two, the CIA, always. A little shocked to see Turkey at 3, because Russia would be, I would expect it to be 3, but these are last year's numbers. This year's numbers have not been up to date yet. Then you have Taiwan, Brazil, Romania, India, Italy, and Hungary. I haven't really heard a lot of attacks from them, but mainly the top 3 or 4 I have heard about. U.S. missile launch codes. This is a funny story. For the past 20 years, the U.S. missile launch codes has been 000, 000. And they were afraid that the general in charge, Thomas Power, he was getting old and he had so many duties that they were afraid that he might forget them. So they kept him 000, 000. All these hackers around the world probably trying to guess what the missile codes are, but they're probably 000. They recently have changed them. Launch codes didn't come into place until 1962 during JFK's memorandum. He said that only one person should have the authority to launch these codes, and it has to be some type of top general, and usually from a device. If you guys see movies, they have that briefcase, they type the digit codes and call, and boom. Alright, I chose 5 of the worst cyber attacks. At number 5, I chose Epsilon. They're one of the world's largest email marketing firm. They handle nearly 40 billion emails from at least 2,500 retail companies. Most of them are retail, and others are like credit card companies, Citigroup, JP Morgan Chase, and other companies like that. What the hackers did, they stole all the names and emails of all the accounts that were registered in every company, so all their clients they had. After that, they had the option to spam you, because they have your name and email, either sell the stolen emails and names to somebody, or use a phishing attack. As I said before, a phishing attack is they send you a fraudulent email saying that I'm from Best Buy and give you a deal that's too good to be true in order to steal your credit card information and your personal information, even your social security number. Damages, it varies, depends on the companies, anywhere from $225 million to $4 billion they stole.
What year was this?
I would say about 10 years back. 9 or 10 years back. Attackers are still unknown. Number 4, Moonlight Maze. Attacked by the Russians on U.S. military troops and schematics, and also military maps. They targeted the Pentagon, NASA, and Department of Energy. When we confronted Russia, they said we had nothing to do with it, but they traced the source back to somewhere in Russia, but they couldn't find the person who did it. The attack was, they didn't know for 2 years these attacks were going on until some U.S. officials found an accidental pattern that there were being these anonymous attacks continuously in pattern, and that's how they found out that they were stealing all this information for the past 2 years. Time Rain. It was a target. They targeted US Intel. It was the Chinese, as usual. They targeted defense contracting companies, Lockheed Martin, NASA, and Redstone Arsenal. Mainly, they stole their information from Lockheed Martin, which they own, Sandia National Laboratories. That's where the US nukes are made. If you guys heard of Lockheed Martin, they come here for internships. They have so many things. They offer cloud computing, cybersecurity, naval missiles, all these types of stuff, many categories. One night, Sean Carpenter, he worked for the cybersecurity department at Lockheed, and somehow he was on 2, 3 a.m. He found out that information was being routed to China, somewhere in China. Once he found out the information was stolen, apparently he got fired because he blew the whistle. It's a little ironic, a little funny. The danger was that they found a backdoor. A backdoor is like a loophole in your program, basically. The only problem was, now, we don't know how many, if the China told other countries about this or not, but now they were afraid that there's a backdoor in their program. So they were able to rob all the information they needed as espionage. Number 2, the most serious breach. It was attack against the U.S. military computer. It was by a foreign intelligence agency in the Middle East. Someone plugged the USB and they spread malicious code and took over their computer and their whole server, and pretty much took all the information they needed. After that attack, Bill Gates implemented a cyber military command against these type of attacks. It was just the USB. There's recently a brand, I forgot the name of the brand, that spread malicious code in your computers. I forgot the brand, I'm sorry. Number 1, the original logic bomb. Most of the websites online, for some reason, have this, or time reigns in number 1. Most of them have this. Attack was against, this was during the Civil War of 1982. It was between the USSR and US and their allies. Somehow, the CIA got a piece of code called logic bomb, and they were able to put it in their system, which made the system go haywire, and they blew up their whole Serbian gas pipeline. The explosion was so big that it could have been seen from space. Usually nuclear bombs are seen from space. This was the first non-nuclear bomb that was seen from space. How many of you guys seen Live Free or Die Hard? Just one person? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. If you guys remember, I couldn't find the video, sorry to say, there was this one scene where they're at the power grid, and the villain tells one of the hackers to route all the gas pipelines back to the power grid so he can blow it up. That's very similar to a logic bomb. That's what he did. The concept of fire sale is that it's to target the nation's reliance on computer controls. Anything that's run by computers, they could take control of. So their first step in a fire sale is to take down the stock market. That's heavily we rely on the economic balance, because without that, they turn it into a whole chaos. Second, they take down transportation grids that controls all the stoplights, all the railroad trains, and all that. They can make all these trains crash, or the cars crash, all that. Last, take out a power grid. Electricity we need the most. They take out a power grid, it would be like Sandy, if you guys remember that. And video. This video is about a Stuxnet virus. It was a couple of years back, and it's very self-explanatory, and it'll tell you what it exactly does.
In June last year, a computer virus called Stuxnet was discovered lurking in the databanks of power plants, traffic control systems, and factories around the world. 20 times more complex than any previous virus code, it had an array of capabilities. Among them, the ability to turn up the pressure inside nuclear reactors or switch off oil pipelines, and Stuxnet could tell the system operators everything was normal. Unlike most viruses, Stuxnet doesn't carry the usual forged security clearance that helps viruses burrow into systems. It actually had a real clearance, stolen from one of the most reputable computer technology companies in the world. It exploited security gaps that system creators are unaware of. These holes are known as 0 days, and the most successful viruses exploit them. The details of a 0 day can be sold on the black market for $100,000. Stuxnet took advantage of 20 zero days. But once it got into a system, it didn't always activate. Buried deep in the Stuxnet code was a specific target. Without that target, the virus remained dormant. What was it looking to shut down? The centrifuges that spin nuclear material at Iran's enrichment facilities. Stuxnet was a weapon, the first to be made entirely out of code. The Washington-based Institute for Science and International Security says the virus may have shut down 1,000 centrifuges at Natanz, Iran's main enrichment facility, last year. In November, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the UN's nuclear watchdog, said Iran had suspended work at its nuclear facilities without explaining why. Many observers credited Stuxnet. Last month, the Iranian government conceded the virus's infection of the Bashir nuclear facility, still under construction, meant that switching the plant on could lead to a national electricity blackout. Iran has responded to the attack with an open call for hackers to join the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and has reportedly amassed the second largest online army in the world. So who was behind Stuxnet? There's no evidence beyond rumour. Some have it that Israel is responsible because the virus code apparently contains references to the Hebrew Bible. Others believe the US was involved in the testing and development. The finger has even been pointed at Siemens mobile phone company, whose software is used by the Iranian regime. The most important question may not be who designed it, but who will redesign it. The evolution has been so fast that 9 months after its detection, the first virus that could crash power grids or destroy oil pipelines is available online for anyone to download and tinker with. You can watch people on YouTube pulling Stuxnet apart. It's an open source weapon. And there's no way of knowing who will use it or what they will use it for.
I don't recommend downloading it, please. You don't want the CIA coming to your doorstep. My conclusion. I don't think Chinese attack at random. I think they're hired by the Chinese government. And it was a report recently, I think a year back, saying that the Chinese government is hiring these hackers. Every time we go to the Chinese government saying, did you find these hackers? They said, oh, we don't know anything about them. They're being paid. A fire sale is very realistic. If it does happen, it'll be the Chinese. That's guaranteed. Technology has a new weapons. A USB, anything's possible these days. You can do by Bluetooth, wireless connections, anything could be possible. That's it.
Oh. How do people get to that level of hacking? Is it just practicing?
Practicing.